It's good to be with you even yet again. Today, we're in chapter 5 of the book of Ecclesiastes, and I hope you've been enjoying this devotional series. In verse 5, we pick up with the fear of God. When we talk about the fear of God, it's not being afraid of God, but understanding our position before Him and His position in relationship to us. We shouldn't take God for granted. We should respect and understand His position as creator of the universe, and yet also have a concept of He is our Father, Abba Father. But here we're talking about how one should approach God and how one should really consider themselves in that position. And it begins off with, guard your steps when you go to the house of God. To draw near to listen is better than to offer the sacrifices of fools, for they do not know what they are doing is evil. And he talks about being rash with our words and being cavalier and careless with the things we say and the promises we make, and sometimes even the overenthusiasm of our own wisdom that we get caught up within ourselves. Verse 4, it says, when you make a vow to God, do not delay paying it, for He has no pleasure in fools. And pay what you vow. The implied meaning there is be careful with the vows you make. Because when we make those kind of promises to God, He will hold us to them and He will hold us accountable for them. So one must consider that when we make a vow and offering to God, don't do like fools do. We're trying to appease God, but be responsible to what God is speaking to our heart and respond to that instead of with our own mind and our own words and our own thoughts. Verse 6, let not your mouth lead you into sin, and do not say before the messenger that it was a mistake. Why should God be angry at your voice and destroy the work of your hands? For when dreams increase and words grow many, there is vanity. But God is the one you must fear. He's saying, have a fellowship relationship with God. Don't get caught up in all these other things, because God is our source and God is our life. Then he touches on the vanity of wealth and honor and of power and those who have positions of authority. He talks about how he's seen so much corruption in the world, and from his vantage point as a ruler and as a king, and I suppose interacting with other countries and the politics and all those kind of things, he saw all kinds of terrible things and things that were not right and were very destructive and oppressive. And he says, there is grievous evil in verse 13 that I have seen under the sun. Riches were kept by their owner to his hurt, and those riches were lost in a bad venture. And he is the father of a son, but he has nothing in the land. There is no wealth that sometimes is passed on. There is the value of the things we hold and we treasure. They can be easily lost. Corruption comes in and takes things away unjustly. All those kind of things. And sometimes we build our foundation on the things we have and investments and possessions, all those kind of things that we value so much. Sometimes they can all be gone in an instant. They can really get away from us. Verse 19, though, everyone also to whom God has given wealth and possessions and power to enjoy them and to accept his lot and rejoice in his toil, this is the gift of God. For he will not much remember the days of his life, because God keeps him occupied with joy in his heart. We need to keep a proper perspective in relationship to all these things, all these the positions that we might obtain, the place we find ourselves in, because our real delight and joy is in God and not in all these other things. They just really become a distraction, don't they? I encourage you today to hold that thought in your mind for a few moments and consider your position and what brings joy into your life. Is it the things you have or the position you have? Or are you finding your relevance and worth and value in your fellowship with God himself. I hope you have a good day. May the Lord bless you and keep you and make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May he lift his countenance upon you and give you peace. Amen.